Welcome back to Let's Talk. I'm Jade Harrell and I'm joined by Amber Clear, not Amy Rivera today, but Tina Love and Miss Jamie Ballantyne Dolby. Thank you all for being with me. Hello, ladies.
Hello, hello.
Welcome back. We come together once a week to talk about the issues and share our perspectives about the world around us. So, right into our topic today, right after we talk about what you've been reading. I know you've taken some time, I hope, to pick up a book. What have you been reading, Amber?
So I'm going back over the Foxfire series, which is like a series of books that teach you how to do things on your own, like teach you how to be independent. And I love it because it like helps me give myself confidence by trying new things. Even if I fail, I'm putting myself out of my comfort zone, and it's just fun. Like, it's just fun. I've been making soap. I've been making maybe just a tiny bit of moonshine. Just the legal amount, but yeah, it's just super fun. It talks about like, basically, if I needed to live on my own, I feel like I could. So super fun.
Could survive.
Yeah, it's basically a survivalist series.
And I know, again, if I ever need, I know who to call.
Well,
Teen Love, what are you
yes. Well, with the Lovers Lounge now,
Yes.
really, with that show, I have to pretty much read. I interview at least 2 to 3 guests a week, and most of my guests write books. So not only am I reading books that I want to read personally, but I have to read books for my guests so I can be prepared. So the book that I've read most recently is Love and Laughter. Sexy, meaningful fun for everyone. And this is a guest that I had on my show, Beth Liebling. She's a podcast host. She used to be a divorce lawyer. She now owns Darling Way, which is an adult lingerie and boutique store. And she's
She
written
went from a divorce lawyer to laundry. That's awesome.
well, the whole thing is what she was learning from being a divorce lawyer was that couples were coming in, of course, ready for on the brink of divorce, and it was because they were having sexless marriages, right? Like it had gotten to the point where, or it was just boring marriage sex, right? And so she thought of this book and thought of Darling Way, and she's doing it in an effort to like help people bring their sexy back and spice up their marriage.
Do you think that she's doing it because she wants to put herself as a divorce attorney out of business, or she was just like, hey, I know how to fix this because I know how to break it?
Well, I think both, actually. What happened, she stopped being a divorce lawyer and decided to go full-time into being an entrepreneur for Darling Way. So this was because she got tired of all of the bad marriages and things that were happening. And so she decided to, of course, open up Darling Way and then write the book. So
Wow.
That's cool.
We
That's
need
cool.
to have her come and have a talk with us too.
oh yes, and the book, ladies, it's awesome because nobody teaches us really, how everybody knows how to get married, right? But people don't know how to stay married, and it's really a job. It's
it is.
work. And after 10 and 15 years, it gets stale. It gets redundant. It can get boring. And so she is teaching women how to create a romance show in your marriage and helping women
Makes a world of difference. And we want to follow up more on that. I can tell you now, being in what 4 out of the 5 categories you just said, we'll be in that older, long-term marriage, trying to spice it up. Yeah, sign me up and ask her would
Yeah.
she mind maybe joining us. Now,
All right.
Jamie, how have you been? And welcome. And what
Thank
have you
you.
been reading, Miss Ballantyne?
So I have been reading Jason Lee's God Must Have Forgotten About Me. So I'm a huge Clubhouse person. I'm on Clubhouse all day, every day, all throughout the night. And I have been reading about Jason Lee. I mean, I've been joining his Hollywood Unlocked room. He's a celebrity entertainer, reporter. And so I've been reading his God Must Have Forgotten About Me book.
What's the premise? What would you say is the one line?
So it's really his story. So I'm not even halfway through it yet, but that's what I'm reading right now.
Sure. Sure. So I'm like Tina, I am conducting some author interviews now, which I'm very excited to be doing with the St. Louis County Library. And the book I'm reading, that I'm reading now, is The Last Children of Mill Creek. And apparently there was a 450-acre community right there near Union Station, Slough area. We're talking Market, Jefferson in St. Louis. That was a densely populated community that by some one line item that said it was poverty stricken and an eyesore and in the name of progress was basically demolished, displaced, demolished, and erased. But for the author, Vivian Gibson, who grew up in this community and was familiar and like, wait a minute, we need to tell this story. So she went and did the research. She shared through her childhood eyes, the characters, the people, and brought that community and time of living back to life. We're talking about the 1930s. And who would have known that the only remnant left maybe is a building, a remaining church that doesn't even bear its original name, had she not written this book. And it's so delightful. So
I have read that. It's amazing. She's amazing. She's a close friend of my mom's. She's super dynamic. I love it.
Had loving the book and had a blast interviewing her. And I already had someone ask me to connect them for conversations about a movie. So I'm excited about
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Have you went and walked basically like an architecture tour of the area, like, and tried to visualize like this used to be here, this used to be here?
Girl, no, but look, I'm down. Let's try.
Yeah, I love doing that. Like I would love to read it and then go like, okay, like this is how I'm going to build it in my mind. This is what it used to look like, and just totally immerse myself.
See, this is the kind of fun we want to have. So while we're at work now, though, ladies, we're going to get back onto our week's topic, our topic for the week. And that is about these young thought leaders, these young women who are making incredible impressions. At 22 years old, Amanda Gorman became the youngest inaugural poet laureate with her powerful poem, The Hill We Climb, is what she shared during the inauguration. Greta Thunberg burst onto the world scene at the age of 15 when she demanded action for climate change. And Pakistani activist Malala became the youngest Nobel Prize laureate for her work fighting for female education. And AOC even is the youngest woman to serve in the US Congress. So I've got plenty of examples here. But ladies, let's talk about how these fierce young women are and how they impact the world around them. Take your pick. I want to start with you, Jamie. Let's talk about these young thought leaders and fierce ladies.
I think it's dynamic. I love like AOC. I think when I was watching the inauguration, I felt like I was watching a younger Maya Angelou. I really like you could see history in the making. I mean, by the time we were all introduced to Maya Angelou, she was already Maya Angelou, and we didn't get a chance to kind of see her rise. I think even we've seen her over 20, 30 years, depending on your age, but we didn't see her growth. I think we're in a state with a lot of these young women. We have this unique opportunity where we can actually see the greatness happening. And I think that's one of the most exciting things. So that's what I've been most impressed with this new movement. And I don't even say a new movement. I think we've always been on a movement. I think that we've been introduced to new leaders in this movement that is greatness.
Jamie, I really appreciate that you put it in perspective on how we missed the early days of our Mayas and our, some of our other great authors and politicians and other sheroes, so to speak, and to really be able to see that. But then when you look back at their pictures, you see they've been at it. They had been at it. Even, being able to experience that is very powerful. So I want to know, how I can plug in and help fuel their fire, because they're already ignited. Tina.
Yeah, speaking of fire and being ignited, I think about Greta, and I don't know if you guys have seen a speech that she did when she talked about how dare you.
I should be back in school on the other side of the ocean. Yet You all come to us young people for hope. How dare you? You have stolen my dreams and my childhood with your empty words, and yet I'm one of the lucky ones. People are suffering. People are dying.
And she spoke so well about climate change, and she was just so up in people's faces with the fact that, how dare you pay more attention to economics and greed and money, and not the fact that, this is happening with our climate, and that we're the ones, her generation, that's going to face the consequences of this as you ignore it. How dare you? I just thought, wow, this young lady, and I think somebody asked her, would she have sat down with Donald Trump, and she looked at them and she says, no, I don't think I would do that. Why would I do that? That would be a waste of time. So it's just the bravery, that I see with her. And then, of course, the shining light, Amanda Gorman, just a ray of sunshine on that day, standing there and just so eloquent. And just such a brilliant person as far as words, the way that she put that together was just beautiful. Being brave enough to see it and being brave enough to be it is what she said. And I love that.
And that speaks to the courage that you're referencing for both Greta and Amanda. And
absolutely.
Especially for Greta, she paid a heavy price for that. She also had to do that with health concerns. She also had to do that with so much pushback and backlash even for what she said, but she called it on the carpet. She held the powerful to account. She was telling the absolute truth. And it, coming from a child, most times they haven't been able to speak and say, hey, speak for them, speak up and advocate for themselves in this way. Those choices were already made. So it is powerful. What I want to know too is when you talk about the ray of sunshine that you felt with Amanda Gorman on stage, what did she illuminate and what did you notice in her light?
Just like I said, you could just see that she was just so proud to be able to stand there and to be able to share her message. And I think for her, it was like, pinch me, it was like, I'm actually doing this. And she knew she had a lot to say. And she was just so glad to see the reception of people, really anxious to hear what she had to say. So that was why, and not to mention the yellow that she had on, right? I mean, she's just a ray of sunshine is exactly what I saw.
Absolutely.
But I want to also go back as far as Greta. The one thing about Greta too, this is a young lady who has Asperger's, autism.
Yeah.
And that just goes to show, sometimes people look and they think of kids with autism and it's like, well, she's got autism or, whatever. But these are some brilliant people.
Yeah.
Well, I think especially with her having Asperger's, it not only illuminates women, but it also illuminates women with any kind of difficulties in their life. So I think sometimes we use people on the autism spectrum or anybody with any kind of deficit, like, oh, I can't be successful because I'm a woman and I have this. When it's like she's using her Asperger's to her advantage, because Asperger's doesn't allow people to pick up certain social cues. So she just charges forward and it's working. So I think you have to take from her the ability to learn how to work with what you have and do the best you can, because she's using all of her power, which normally people would say, oh, you have Asperger's, that's a deficit. And she's saying, no, this is my power. And that is so respectful.
It is.
Well, I appreciate that those things are the secondary narrative for all of the women that we've named and are making note of, including Ruth Bader Ginsburg. If we think about it, she constantly had another struggle going on in her background, in her undertow. And certainly if we look at AOC, any of the things, the hills that she had to climb, just being a woman of color, and in the industry that she's in and the positions that she's taken, those things are all the secondary narrative that are going on as they made the priority of making change number one. And I admire and support that. Look at the cost. Now, how can we better serve, support, and align with what they're doing so that fire burns even brighter. Amber?
I think that one of the things that we have to respect is that women are so underrepresented in positions of power, in positions that have a voice, that I think sometimes culturally, women are brought up to tear other women apart. So instead of thinking, hey, that woman's at the table, she's taken the woman's seat, so now I need to bring her down so I can take the woman's seat, it's about helping all women rise. So stop unnecessarily tearing down other women out of jealousy, no matter what side they're on. Because I think men are better about, hey, we disagree on this, but let's work together through it. Not all men, obviously. However, I think that women need to help each other rise up. And I just want to call to the strength that all of these young women have. Because if you imagine yourself back in your early 20s and think about all of the things that you were being hit with, about life coming at you fast and not knowing who you were as a person, and then amplify that times 1,000, because they're not always getting called out for their message. They're getting called out for their outfits. They're getting called out for their hair being out of place. They're getting called out for things that don't matter. And I think that that's what bothers me the most, that instead of trying to equalize the turf, we sometimes maliciously and erroneously call attention to the things that don't matter, like their outfits, which we'll talk about later in this episode.
Well, indeed, and I feel that the strength that we can pull from this is that courage, and the courage that it takes to say yes to your call, the courage it takes to step into your purpose and not know all of the answers or where all of the help will
Absolutely.
come from, but know that the things will align if you create the energy and start to move it forward.
Yeah.
So I want to just say, be courageous and say yes. And even if you are afraid, do it afraid anyway. Do it while you're afraid. Be courageously scared and know that's just kind of a part of the process. And we will keep watching and applauding and pulling from those great examples that we talked about. So when we come back, let's talk about two other strong women and their tale in two magazine covers and how they differ. Stick around. We'll be right back.
How can I help my daughter with her reading?
Searching for help with Dachshund Reading.
Why do you not get me?
I do. This is what it feels like for kids with learning and attention issues. Redirecting to understood.org.
Join parents and experts at understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues to help your child thrive.
Hey St. Louis, this is Ozzie Smith. This is a very difficult time for us all, with coronavirus spreading throughout the world. But we all need to listen to public health officials in order to save lives and protect our families. This is not a joke. So, stay at home, St. Louis.
And welcome back. I'm Jade Harrell here with Amber Clear, Tina Love, and Jamie Valentine Dolby. We are continuing our conversation about powerful female voices that create change, but we're shifting the discussion to the way that they are portrayed. Let's talk about Representative Cori Bush and Vice President Kamala Harris. Both women are breaking barriers. Both women are photographed for national magazines, but there's a difference. Vogue and Teen Vogue, there's a striking contrast between the images. Ladies, let's talk. Starting with you, Jamie, darling, what do you see initially when you take a look at these images and the contrasts that present?
Well, two things. I think there's two different audiences and two different editorial boards. And with Teen Vogue, their audience is ready for everything that Cori Bush is serving. They were born ready. Their generation gets Cori and they understand it. And not only does the generation that their target audience gets it, the editorial board there gets it because they understand the market. The Kamala Harris, Vice President Kamala Harris, her cover of Vogue, they said they wanted to make it more casual, which is unfortunate because Vogue has always been the opposite. It has never been a casual thing. The problem is why, when this Black woman who has done these dynamic things of Indian and Asian descent and the first in so many things, it's now time to casualize the cover.
And not only that, they disagreed with her team. Her team was not in line with the image that they used. So
well, the problem also is you're an editorial board. So I'm sure teams have disagreed with them for decades upon decades. At the end of the day, they knew what they were doing and they chose a cover. It was in bad taste.
And the byline they put with it.
They did not consult with the right team. They did not think this through. And I don't care how they explain it. They flopped. Michelle Obama would have never. And I think that also speaks to maybe the team that you have around you that can sometimes advocate for you, because it's not enough for her just to be on the cover. We need her celebrated and on the cover the right way.
Celebrate her actions, not her outfits. So regardless of whether you...
I don't agree.
Let me have to chime in a little bit too on that, because I'm in the camp of disagree. I think by getting all worked up over her cover, we're basically saying the people that have beef with that cover are, in a way, to me, a part of that same conversation.
So the reason...
And so
I have beef.
I'm not debating it, but I just wanted to say I'm part of that camp and I'll share what I'm thinking about it. Tina,
go ahead.
Yeah, I know. I've been thinking about this, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but when I looked at the cover, I thought, for Kamala Harris anyway, I thought that they were trying to appeal to the sorority, for one, and I happen to be in the sorority, so I'm coming from that lens. When I saw the pink and green, the satin, when I saw the chartreuse green and the pink, like many sorors across the country, we were glad to see that. And when I saw her in tennis shoes, I thought it was an appeal to her personality. Yes, she dresses up, but at the same time, she also dresses down and she likes to bring it together at times. And I thought that maybe they might have been trying to help make her more, just kind of her human side, she's very powerful, but at the same time, she's a girl, she likes to dress up, but also she likes to keep it cool, wear her little chucks or whatever and whatever. So I thought that maybe they were trying to put a play on that. I didn't take it like...
Actually, that's what I kind of...
that's the way I saw it.
I was just trying to say I gravitated to that as well.
Yeah.
Let me explain further that my disagreement is not necessarily with her outfit, okay? If that was the outfit that her team had wanted on the cover, and here's the thing, no matter what side of politics you're on, I just want respect for women. So the fact that her team did not approve that, and that's not the image they wanted on the cover, and the amount of disrespect they showed her by choosing an image without consulting her team, but more importantly, the byline they put was about her outfit and not her accomplishments. Are you kidding?
Was it her title?
In Vogue. I don't know.
Her title is Vice Daggum President of the United States. Like
what more can you say?
I'm saying, like, what more description do you need?
So on the side, I really want to pull this up because this is the one thing that I got so heated about.
And I do know that Jamie is talking about that whole board that they do make concessions.
Well, I was just gonna say, consulting the team, at the end of the day, it's Vogue's decision. The problem I have with it is it's Vogue. I wear Chucks. If you have ever seen me at a gala,
I love Chucks.
Wearing my Chucks to work. I wear them to a gala. I would have never worn them with that suit. And and I'm telling you, Chucks can be worn and rocked and look fabulous. I think it wasn't styled the best. And we're talking about her outfit because it's Vogue. We're not talking, she wasn't on the cover of Black Enterprise or Wall Street. It's Vogue. And so when you're on the cover of
put in the United States of fashion, that's what the phrase was.
Congress. It don't matter what the cover of a magazine looks like. Like it takes us back into this whole conversation about what we think the rules are.
Vogue
Yeah.
had an opportunity there to show
setting
so
the
much more
rules for
because
anybody.
fashion is power, and instead they put the United
That's
States
the
of
power
fashion.
you give it. You give it the power. You get anything that has power is what you give it for yourself, because it can't be created or destroyed. It's transferred. So if
Is
I
what it
draw power from it or I lose power from it, that's a conscious choice. And I think if the sister said, no, I don't want this on the cover, they wouldn't have it on the cover. And I'm pretty certain that's the least of the concerns.
But
that
that's
this
why they
woman
changed
would
the
have
online
said. But
cover
it's a
because
great conversation.
her team disagreed with it. So
They do, but again, it's Vogue's magazine, and they
It's
agreed
Vogue.
when they
Yeah.
signed it and said, we're going to do a photo shoot. I don't like all the pictures that are put out for me, but I'm a for hire face. I'm a for hire entity. So at times there's trade-offs and agreements that we make. The impression, though, that I'm certain she was hoping to draw was that I am the woman first vice president on the cover of this magazine. You can see me and we can talk more about this story.
yeah,
But certainly I know we can have a lot of fun getting into the minutia of what we think may have happened or not happened.
Right.
But once we start dialoguing about it's right or wrong, or it did, it
Yeah.
matched, it didn't, I wouldn't have, we putting up rules that nobody has to follow.
Exactly.
But to reduce her to the United States of fashion,
I reduce.
that was the
They
bottom.
Reduce her.
Say those
Reduce
words.
her. That was a
Nobody
typo.
on the cover said reduce. But
No.
we add those meanings. We got to
Yes.
be careful about the meanings we add.
That's
But that's
right.
what I love to talk about. And of
Yes.
course, loving to talk about it with you. And I'm kind of in a dilemma too. Now, for me, with needing probably some hip surgery or medical care, I don't get to wear the heels like I used to or want to. And I don't feel, I have a real concern about how I look in flat. So I resort to tennis shoes because of the comfort, and I love sneakers, but I wonder, will that diminish or downgrade my ability to influence because of the image it portrays for some people?
So I don't think that at all. And again, my issue is not with her Chuck Taylors. My issue is the lack of respect that they had for her team. Because if she was a man, they would have listened to her team and consulted with her team more. And they didn't. So I love her outfit. I just don't love the lack of respect.
Vogue will do Vogue, and that's what Vogue does. And I don't think I don't see it necessarily as a sign of respect. Just as a proud Chuck wearer, I just didn't think it was like the best way to display Chucks. But that's just me. And we're talking fashion because it's a fashion magazine. So I felt
it's so much more than a fashion magazine. It is.
I would not have rocked it like that. And Jade, wear your sneakers, wear your flats. I have found a way, and sometimes I carry heels still in my purse, but I never end up putting them on. They do make me feel good, and I love them. But
so
my knees,
program,
I don't have Meg the Stallion knees, so
I feel so much more powerful
match my
flats because I can kick someone's butt.
Yeah,
I'm not. Here's what I want us to take with us and to encourage every other sister that's listening on your various platforms. You have the opportunity to, one, uplift and respect and honor the images of the guests, the people, the stories, the initiatives, the mission, and the projects that you're involved in. So one, use your platforms for the great good that they are. Two, if you don't have one and you got something to say, create a platform and show us how it can be done. And please be sure to look up. There's every sister on here has a platform of some good for your soul, from your heart to your laughter, your joy, to your mind and spirit. So plug in and use these platforms for good. And let's see some fierceness from each one of you, Sasha, too. Right on. Well, make a date with us every Tuesday and stay up on all things St. Louis on social media with STLTV. We will see you next week, and let's talk soon.
This outfit makes us feel powerful. Wearing flats makes me feel powerful because I can roundhouse kick someone in the face easier.
All right, you ladies ready?
Hold on. Let me reapply. Why not, right?
What are you, Jade? Are you playing darts? What are you doing?
I am trying to close my curtains because I see the fingerprints on the windows.
We can't see them. We can't see them.
Gracious. Nobody's looking at that. You might be.
Embarrassing.